this other road. Get access to it. Yeah, there. So welcome to America, the great land of exercise. I love that particular photo. It is true, and I must admit I would be one of those people to the right. So it's quite embarrassing, but it is the case. So one thing which is fantastic, I think, about physical activity and exercise is that it acts in a sense as a stress buffer. So, you know, besides improving cardiovascular health, it has a range of effects on releasing certain neurochemicals which are vital to maintain mood, to maintain good mood. But it also has anti-inflammatory properties. It creates neurogenesis, or in a sense, it stimulates brain neuron growth. As well as neuroplasticity, and that is the beauty, that we can change our brain. I mean, years ago they thought that we couldn't. You're pretty much given what you're given, but we do know that we can change our brain through a range of lifestyle, medication and psychological elements, and that offers hope for many mental illnesses. And one area which I really do like is the consideration of green space exercise, in a sense, green exercise. And what's very interesting about it is that if you look on your right-hand side there, you can see the effect size. An effect size of 1 on the left side of the graph is very large. It's showing a very strong clinical effect. You know, 0.2, 0.4, you know, small to average, and around that sort of 0.6 is sort of more of a moderate effect size. So you can see that people in this particular meta-analysis, and those black dots sort of show individual areas. So people exercising where there's data available, exercising in countryside or water habitats, wild habitats. You can see there's a pretty solid, consistent effect size for a reduction of mood disturbance for people being out in nature and doing physical activity. So it's something which I think is quite beneficial, to do physical activity if possible in nature, or at least just to expose yourself to nature, not expose yourself in nature. That's generally illegal in most countries. But what we want to do is, I guess, if we can, get more involved in nature, and potentially also, unless a person has, pardon me, marked social phobia, to be around other people and social networks when exercising as well. That also has a potential beneficial effect. So everybody says, well, look, exercise is great, you know, it's good lifestyle medicine, but how do I actually get motivated to do any? And I think that a lot of the time when people see doctors, they should prescribe exercise, you know, on a script pad, like, you know, you would any medication. So it's good to actually ask for specific instructions about physical activity or exercise, and what is beneficial for you as an individual. And in terms of motivation, I think a lot of the time, certainly people with mental illness can feel too much pressure, or they don't feel like doing it, and it actually makes them feel, you know, I guess, more disempowered. They feel worse about it, they feel guilty. But I think just using these concepts of starting off slowly. So it could be a case of initiating by, say, for example, going out and doing some exercise by putting the sneakers by the door, maybe putting on some exercise clothes, arranging to meet a friend for a walk. So just, you know, putting in place these small habits, which then can create inertia and movement towards achieving these particular goals. And also, I know sometimes when I'm, you know, not feeling like exercising, I may just say, look, I'm just going to go, you know, just down the park. I'll just have a little walk around, or I'll walk to the shops, or I'll go to the gym, and I'll just, you know, I might go for a little swim for 10 minutes, or at least do something which I don't put too much pressure on myself. And what I find is once you're there, you feel a bit more motivated, your energy's moving a bit more, and you end up a lot of the time doing more than what you thought you should. So the key is structure, and the key is consistency, and for it to be a part of a person's life, and not something which they feel they have to do. It is as part of a life as one would do with eating and sleeping. And that's the beauty. I mean, ultimately we are trying to, in our own way, in our own individual way, move towards healthy living. And while we don't want to put pressure on ourselves to be superhuman, I think there are many benefits whereby by taking even just small steps, taking a look at one's life and saying, yeah, okay, I could modify my diet a little bit here and there. Yeah, I could cut down this, this, and this. Yeah, I could do a little bit more physical activity, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I probably should be a bit more social. Just these little elements, and bit by bit, I think they really do transform a life and move us towards healthy living, where the benefits certainly are improved mood, improved self-esteem, improved physical quality of life, and a range of other psychosocial benefits. And in terms of our medication, unfortunately, our poor little Prozac, it's a lot of the time a little tired and it needs a rest. It's feeling a little depressed with all the attention and obviously a lot of fame and fortune. It's made a lot of money. Now, medications, I think, for many people are invaluable, and I think that used appropriately can be very beneficial. For some people, however, that's not the case, and in fact, the data strongly suggests that unfortunately, for youth and adolescents, that vast majority of antidepressants really seem to be give an outcome in terms of improving mood no better than placebo or a dummy pill. So it's a little obviously upsetting. We really need to look at other options for our youth and our adolescents. And in terms of people with mild to moderate depression, it's the same story. It's only really for people with more severe levels of depression, which I guess you'd say is more biological. So there's something very strong happening biologically with potentially raised cortisol, with impaired neurogenesis, maybe real abnormality of serotonergic function, for example, that our antidepressant medication is very beneficial. However, in other more mild to moderate levels of depression, and we're getting that nowadays, it really is, I guess, a soup of different emotions and mental states which people go through when they have issues in their life. And that's not necessarily clinical depression. It's that person has a hard life, has a tough life, or they've had some very stressful events which is affecting their mood. And a lot of the time, social support, psychological intervention, some lifestyle adjustment may be more beneficial than taking a tablet. So one thing which we've looked at in terms of people who are taking medication, unfortunately aren't getting the benefits of their medication, because one of the issues is that yes, people do get effect from it. They might have had severe level of depression, they're getting effect, but they still have some ongoing residual depression. And the question is, how do we enhance their medications? So how do we improve it? And I think one of the best ways, or one of the ways which we can consider, is the use of nutraceuticals. So these are, I guess you'd say, a pharmaceutical quality standardized nutrient medicines. Some people also include some plant medicines into that as well. So we did a review of this, as published in the American Journal of Psychiatry recently, and we did find that there were some positive studies using S-denylmethionine, which is SAMe, methylfolate, which is an active B9, active folic acid, omega-3, especially formulations high in EPA, and also vitamin D. And there was also some positive studies for creatine, which has been used previously a bit by bodybuilders, an amino acid combination, and there was some mixed results for zinc, folic acid, vitamin C, and tryptophan, with no results found for inositol. So one of the take-home messages, I think, with this particular study was that the omega-3 EPA had some of these. Sorry, I should say there were enough studies for the omega-3, the EPA, to put into a meta-analysis. So, in other words, combining the studies so we can get a stronger and more clear effect as to whether it is beneficial or not. And I'll just quickly jump ahead with that, so you can see that. So looking at that particular